Welcome back to my suburban hell. So, when we left off previously, we had just finished painting all the basement walls. This nice pearl white, Drylock, super thick paint. And I've been thinking about what direction I want to go with this basement. I know that I talked about in previous videos about finishing it. Well, let's get into it. So, I've been doing some research, and I found that finishing this basement wouldn't necessarily be a great idea. When this concrete floor was poured, they clearly did not use any sort of vapor barrier, which is why we have such a humidity problem down here, especially in the summer. And as concrete is porous, if there's water underground or the moisture in the soil, it will simply wick through the concrete and into the enclosed space. Which is why I run a dehumidifier 24/7 down here, and it's keeping it nice and 50% relative humidity, which is reasonable for a basement that's not occupied. But it is a problem, and if I were to finish this basement, it would be really bad. You can still do it. You can still finish a basement like this, but it may not make a hell of a lot of sense. You can't really, for example, most carpeting you really shouldn't put down on a floor like this. There are very few coatings that can be used on a floor that has no vapor barrier. I'm going to be experimenting with some options, though. Drylock makes a concrete floor sealer that is applied much like their wall finishing products. But you thin out the first coat so it penetrates into the concrete, and then you put a second coat on top of that, or a third. And that's how you apply it. I might do that. I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with this. I do know that I have one finished room down here that has been there since 1994, and there are no mold signs or symptoms of any kind. It's actually fairly decent in here. We don't have the heat in here at all. And I actually did put this cool floor down. This is a carpet tile that just sits on top of the concrete. It actually has an adhesive built into it, and it's held up pretty well. Have had no issues. The cats, however, seem to be picking at it a little bit, but that's going to happen. But otherwise, there have been no mold issues down here, so that is kind of promising. So, alright, so a complete basement finish is probably not in the works, but a couple of things I want to do. I definitely want to build an office over here. That is for my girlfriend, so she can have her, set up her stuff in there and do her thing, whatever she's got to do. Kind of like how I've got my hobbies going on over here, she can do the same over there. I will be getting a permit for that. This was built without a permit by the previous owner. Nothing I can do about that. So I will be doing that at least, and I'll do the same thing. I'll probably just do carpet tile, and that's it. So that is an idea that I have. Okay, moving ahead. In the immediate future, though, I need to take this whole wall apart. Well, I don't mean the wall. What I mean is I need to remove the plumbing, the electrical, and just strip it down. I'm going to recoat this wall with Drylock, two fresh coats of Drylock. It does have Drylock on it. And as a matter of fact, this entire wall does. It goes all the way back to the corner of the house. The previous owner definitely did this at one point. It was prior to 1994, so that should give us a little bit of... so you can see the outline of where the old sink was. I actually have that sink. It is over here. Now, like most houses built, prior to the 1960s or even into the 70s, this house was originally fitted with this beautiful concrete sink as a laundry tub. And these sinks are actually quite collectible these days. People are actually buying these and putting them in their kitchens. I don't know why This sink weighs north of 500 pounds. It doesn't look it, but it is remarkably heavy. This sink is so heavy, I have avoided touching it since the day I closed on this house. I'm glad it's here, and I intend to repurpose it. But what we need to do is we need to get it prepped. We need to get it out of this little corner and into a more accessible location. I've been talking to my dad about this, and he said he'd be willing to help me, but we're thinking of ways we can kind of rig it with pulleys and ropes and straps and kind of get it, you know, from this position to this position. That's kind of the idea. It's not going to be easy. This thing weighs more than both of us combined. I freaking hope so. Anyway, I cannot move it. It is so heavy. It's not. This thing is like. You can tell why they didn't remove it from the house, because it was just like, screw it. It was a rental property when they removed it, so they didn't care. But because of their laziness, I have a nice, beautiful concrete sink that I can put back in. Why did they take it out? I suspect that the drain was leaking, and they didn't want to bother with fixing it. So they just said to hell with it, and they removed it. They put that stupid plastic thing in there. Now, these sinks are quite common. You can buy these at Home Depot for like $100. They make bigger versions, but they're just so damn flimsy. This is the original faucet that was used with that concrete sink. It is still intact. And it works to an extent. It leaks, but it works. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off right about maybe here, or maybe all the way to the elbow. I'm going to desolder those elbows, or hell, maybe I'll just take it all out. Nah. Yeah, there's a leak there, so we're going to do that. We're going to cut probably about here. That way I don't have to solder all the way back to these elbows and just, you know, we'll just splice in some new copper here. I'm using copper. I'm not a yuppie. And I'm going to put, yeah, just new pipes down there. I'm going to put I'm going to get a new brass faucet. I'm going to get there is a chrome-plated version of this faucet. They still make these. But they make a chrome-plated one that mounts directly to the wall. And that's what I'm going to put in. And we'll replumb it all. I'm going to run new plumbing. After I paint this wall with new Drylock, I'm going to run new plumbing to the washer. And I'm going to run a cold tap to the dryer. The dryer actually uses water as a steam feature for anti-wrinkle. We've never hooked it up, but hopefully soon we'll have that luxury. And while I'm at it, I'm going to replace these hoses. Remember, folks, always replace your hoses to your washing machines. These hoses actually are like the #1 cause of flooded basements and water damage, because after so many years, they leak or they burst. It happens more often than you think, and seemingly randomly. So always make sure to replace them every couple of years. But that's going to be an exciting project. My plan for the sink is I'm going to refinish it. Somebody actually, well, you can see they coated it with Drylock. I'm going to actually have some concrete paint mixed up in a kind of a battleship gray. And I'm going to paint the whole sink on the outside. Not the inside, just the outside. It's already been coated, and stripping that paint off would be more work than it's worth. So I'm going to recoat it. Hopefully it doesn't chip. I'll probably get some primer or something on there. Okay, so that happened. I had my girlfriend help me lift it. Well, we had to get it on the cart, and it takes 2 people to pull it back and let it down gently without smashing it. But it's on the 2-wheeler, so it's on wheels now. This is the first time in 2 years, well, since I've owned the house, since it's actually been in this position. So we can get a better look at what's going on with it, the kind of condition it might be in. I have some concerns, namely the drain. So on this side, it still has this little crosshatch thing, this little brass is fitting. It's missing on this side. I don't know if that can be replaced. The drain pipe is cast into the concrete. and it comes down to a fitting. Oh, this thing's heavy. Comes down to a fitting down here that is in pretty rough shape, but I think I can file this smooth so that a new drain fitting will fit on here. And they sell a kit. It's a complete drain attachment for these, but I might have to file this smooth. It's a little pitted, but overall it's still there. It's not broken or cracked or anything. It doesn't appear to be. The date of production is on here, 10 of 1954. Although I'm not sure who the manufacturer is. These are often mistaken for being soapstone sinks, but that is not what these are. This is a concrete sink, and it looks like somebody used it for painting, but it is a cool find for sure. But yeah, people are buying these things for stupid money and putting them in their kitchens. I couldn't imagine having one of these in my kitchen. You would have to reinforce the floor with a lally column wherever that sink may be. But let's try to clean it up a bit. Look at that. Yeah, this will clean up all right. You can see that some of those coatings that are on it are just sloughing right off. So the deal with these sinks, this is why they were so common on older homes. They are a piece of history because it's really a kind of an artifact of the way life used to be, and well into the modern era. Again, this house isn't that old in the grand scheme of things. It's only 66 years old, but a sink like this would have been used as an actual laundry sink. People literally wash their clothes in these. What they would do is they would fill one side with a detergent, probably borax or something, and some of these even had washboards built into them. I think some of the older ones would have had washboards. This one does not, obviously, but they would have washboards in them. Some of them have. There was a company at one point that made an electrically operated washing machine that kind of fit on top of this. What it was an agitator that would just sit right on the bowl. It would fit right over it, and it would just agitate the clothing. And then you would take the clothes out and you'd run them through a wringer, and then you'd hang them out to dry. When washing machines became commonplace in households, automatic washing machines, they would drain into this sink rather than having a dedicated plumbing attachment. But I have a good feeling about this one. I tried to get rid of this sink shortly after I bought the house because I'll never put that in. Like, why would I do that? I had no plans of ever putting it back in service. And it wasn't until very recently that I decided, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing nobody took it. I offered it for free, short of offering somebody money to take it. But then you're thinking, well, didn't you just get finished saying that people are paying money for these? Yes, they are. But it depends on who's looking and where. It's got this galvanized steel rim on it. That's still in pretty good shape. You can see it kind of extends over to the center piece. It's cleaning up quite nice. Yeah, this thing is totally salvageable. I would like to figure out what I'm going to do about that drain. Not that it's a #1 priority, but I know I can save the cast iron pipe. That shouldn't be an issue. But anyways, yeah, you can see it's got lint in it from when it was used as a laundry sink. But there are no cracks. The whole thing is intact. The drains are intact. I think these actually may pull out. No, they don't. But that's a bronze, that's a bronze fitting. That is not an integral part of the drain. It's just to prevent large things from going down there. But what I could do is I could probably figure something out for the other side. I'm not too concerned. But if you had a house built, this is lead paint, I'm sure. Or no, that could be, that could just be stuff that ran down the back of the sink when they painted the wall. You can see this, all this splatter here. God only knows what. You know what? This splatter here, I've never seen the back of this sink, so this is all new to me. This looks like it could be from when they coated the walls with that black. It is. Look at this. So this black stuff was installed or painted on these walls before the sink was installed, and that's why it's all over the back of it. Let's pull it forward. I've never seen the bottoms or that other side of it here. Let me try to pull this thing off. The thing is heavy. It really is. Oh my. I don't think I can move it. Can I lift it? Oh no. Oh hell no. I can't lift this thing. I can lift it with the cart because the cart gives me some leverage, but it's a heavy son of a bitch. Let's see the other side. Yeah, I'm looking for like heavy chipping from when it was dragged across the floor. There is a little bit of damage, but not too much. It's superficial. Nah. Oh! You can actually, oh, there's a spider in there. You can actually see some of the chicken wire that's inside of this thing. No, maybe not. This whole thing is totally full of chicken wire. What they would do is they would form like a chicken wire, like as they were putting the mold together for this, they would use it as a reinforcement. So if I were to try to bust this up, which is a sad fate that most of these befell, it would be very difficult, if not impossible. Yeah, busting it up with a sledgehammer would be damn near impossible, just because of the construction. But that's what a lot of people end up doing with these, is they just smash them to bits, or they try to. Now I have the original stand for it. It's right here, and I've kind of gone back and forth as to whether or not I'm going to reuse this stand. It's hard to believe that something so flimsy was used to hold such a heavy piece of equipment. And I nearly threw this thing out. I thought it was a stand for an aquarium at one point, but it turns out that is the factory original stand for that son of a bitch. It's still in good shape. I mean, when you put the sink on top of it, it somehow can hold the weight. I don't know how. I really don't know how that works out, but it does, and that's what they're used for. And if you look up at other pictures of these so-called soapstone sinks and concrete sinks, you're going to find that that is the base that they come with. Earlier models sometimes had more ornate styled bases, but this is kind of like late production, late model. It doesn't look stable at all. It looks like it would just bolt. You fill it with water. You fill these two tubs. Think about this. This thing is dry. There's no water in it. If you fill it up to its highest level, right about here, my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine how much weight is on that spindly little thing? So, but somehow it works. So I took a wire brush and I wire brushed the inside of both bowls and or basins, and I got a lot out of here. From what I understand, these really were used to wash clothing, and they tended to get embedded with lint, which seems to be the case. But I think it's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the exterior of it with some leftover single part epoxy paint. This is what I used on my front porch, and I figured before it goes bad I might as well use it. It's actually a nice color. It's Mink Stole. This is the color sample, and I think it would look nice. Let's get this stuff out on a tray. Sorry, I had to. I couldn't resist. Anyway, let's do that. It's actually looking pretty good. Now, it's not my first choice in color by a far stretch of the imagination. This is not the color I wanted to use, but it's what I've got on hand, and I didn't want to buy anything. But that's 2 coats right there. It's going to take a 3rd coat to give it the nice coverage I'm looking for. I didn't want to paint it white. I thought about painting it teal, and I thought about Battleship Gray, but again, I've got all this paint. I might as well freaking use it. You know, at some point you just have to use what you have on hand. It is a utility thing, remember. Cool one. But as for the metal edging, that is going to be taken down with a wire brush. And I'm going to clean that up real nice. Normally you would etch concrete before painting it, especially something like this. It's a Portland cement, very dense Portland cement. However, it already has a coating on it which has held up. There is no chipping or peeling or anything like that. I got a little bit on the metal, but it's okay. Amelia, do you think this is ugly or what?
Wow, that's really great. I love it. The color is perfect. It will match our utility basement well.
You are a liar.
That's why you love me, right?
Of course. Of course. All right, Amelia, what do you think? Ugly?
I actually really like it. I like the color, and I think it'll look really well in the basement.
You do? Okay. Sounds good. We had to rehearse that because she... Anyway. It's just a sink. Okay. Once this dries, I'm going to put another coat on it, and then I'm going... You good? What's the matter?
Okay.
Okay. Once this dries, I'll put a 3rd coat on it, and when that dries, I will take my wire wheel and we'll clean up the metal and make it look pretty. I did paint the back because why not? Because why not? I kind of like it. We got our 2nd coat on the old tub. 3rd coat, sorry. Got our 3rd coat on there. Color's starting to come in nice and uniform. I think that'll be enough paint for it for now. Looking pretty good. And then once that's all cured, maybe overnight, I'll take the wire wheel and I'll clean up the edge. Make it look pretty. So I've gone and cleaned up the metal base, tightened up the screws, and now we're going to get a nice coat of black Rust-Oleum on here. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum, the paintable, on it with the brush kind. It's a nice durable paint. It is a true oil-based paint, so yeah, it does a nice job of coating. Cleaned it up as best I could with the wire wheel and without going too crazy with it. So yeah. Alright, never mind. I'm going to use this stuff. This is a nice Rust-Oleum black engine paint. This stuff is, I love this paint. It goes on smooth and it's tough. Of course, I didn't really prep it all that well, but it's good enough for government work, as is tradition. Good enough for me. And then what you do is you rotate the little nozzle in here and you spray your horizontal. So I gotta share this because, well, it's relevant. Now, all the posts I've read so far have stated that this metal rim is made of zinc. However, I'm no metallurgist, but I think that's lead. And I didn't realize it until I really started going to town with my wire wheel. But, I mean, clearly these joints are lead. These are lead solder joints. But the metal that this is made of, well, let's just say it ain't steel. It's not nickel either. It could be lead. And I say this because a lot of, like, I'm not even joking. There are people, mostly hipsters, you know, people that are about my age, with much bigger beards and much nicer hands, and really clean leather work boots that would put a sink like this in their kitchen, in the house that they bought with the money that they got from their inheritance, their trust funds, if you will. And I'm telling you right now, I would not put this sink in my kitchen. In fact, I may have just dosed myself with 2 lifetimes worth of lead while cleaning this up. So I am going to get a lead test. No, really. I'm going to test this for, I'm actually get one of those your DIY lead test capsules, and I'm going to check this for lead. And I'm also going to, when I get my next checkup, I'm going to ask for a lead test, a blood test, just to confirm whether or not I should take out more life insurance on myself. So I'm being somewhat serious. This could be very bad if that is actually lead, and I think it is. But you can use a lead paint test kit. They sell them at the hardware store, and it's just a little glass capsule. You break it and you just wipe it on, and if it turns red, you got lead. So again, not to discourage people, but this is they used some real hazardous substances back then. They did. I mean, and the funny thing is, they knew better, but yet parents would still bathe their kids in these things. No, for real. Parents would often bathe their children in these things. Your grandparents, perhaps, or your parents may have bathed in a lead-lined concrete sink. The thing about lead is it's very soft. It doesn't rust. Very soft metal. This seems a little bit tougher than lead. I mean, it's definitely tougher than this, but it could be zinc. You know, come to think of it, I think it might be all right. I mean, this is not a valid test, but lead does, lead definitely does. Let's just hope it's zinc. I mean, it seems kind of counterintuitive that they would, in 1954, they would still be using lead on these things. It does seem kind of dumb, because, I mean, let's think about it here. You know, the family would be doing their laundry in the sink, and the clothing would be, you know, rubbing up against the rim on occasion. It just seems kind of stupid that they would do that, when they know damn well that, and they knew in 1954, how long before, that lead was poisonous. They knew it. It was no secret. And such a beautiful sink, though. I mean, I'll probably die at 49, but it's a beautiful sink. Or 39 in this case. You'll notice I missed a spot. Yes, I know. I can't get to it. Not on that cart. I'm going to have to, when I get the sink in place, then I'll touch that up. I'm not worried about it. But, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to get this drain taken, or this, what do you call that? This thing here. It's full of lint. We'll take that apart. I'll put a new bolt on it and make it look pretty. This is kind of interesting. When I took those out, I found that there was a hole bored all the way down. It may actually go all the way down into the drain. That's kind of neat. Yeah, probably does. Yeah, I feel the other end of that hole down in there. So that is a, you know, like a separate drain kind of thing. That's kind of cool. Yeah, there's still some of this build up. But yeah. Clean those up nice. Alright, I cleaned the crossover drain, and I replaced the original bolt with a stainless steel one. And it's a little long, but I'll just grab my Dremel and I'll cut the tip off of it, or the extra material. And there you go. That's how you fix it. Yeah, I don't think this is lead, but it does seem a little bit tough to be lead. Like, it's a little bit tougher than lead would be. So it could be zinc. Let's just hope it is. It's definitely not steel though. Now if it were galvanized steel, it would have been rusted off by now. The galvanization would have worn off, flaked off, and it wouldn't be there anywhere near the condition it's in. So we got the base painted, we got the sink cleaned and painted. All we have to do, I mean, really, I have what I need. No, I need a drain kit. So I think what I'm going to do, maybe this weekend after the holiday, I'm going to get another gallon of paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this section of the wall best I can. I'm going to paint all the way up to where I need to, just to get the sink in place. So that's what I'm going to get it in place, clean the floor a little bit, and I can replumb this at any time. I don't have to do it this minute. I can put the sink in. I'll order the drain kit maybe tonight, and so by the time the drain kit comes in, I'll have that hooked up. I do have to clean up the drain underneath. That's going to be a challenge given its situation. Probably should have done that first. But so I went ahead and I cleaned it up as best I could, which actually wasn't that bad. I see these online all the time with drains that are completely busted off. The ears are broken off, or the whole thing is just shithouse. But in this case, it doesn't look all that bad. Let's see if we can get a good look up inside it. Yep, there's that hole that I saw. No, it's good. It'll seal. Now, the drain kit comes with a nice big donut gasket that goes up over this. And I think that it should seal pretty well. There's some defects that are in the casting, like this casting line here, which indicates that it really never was that good of a seal. But I think we can make it work. This looks promising. Here's the production date. 10/4 of 54. It's a nice old sink. So I'm going to go ahead and order a drain kit. The faucet is the expensive piece. The faucet for this thing, at least the one I want, is over $120, which is well, I mean, as far as faucets go, that's not cheap. And the reason it's so expensive is because it's made entirely of cast brass. The entire thing is cast in brass and then chrome plated. So, not exactly the cheapest thing in the world to manufacture. I don't think I need that on. Oh, hey, real quick. I got an idea. If you have one of these and the drain is busted off, I was thinking about, Mark, how would I make this work? Let's say my sink drain is literally busted to shit. What you could do, and I'm just brainstorming here. You fill the drain with concrete. Hydraulic cement probably would be your best. I think hydraulic cement is what you want to use. You fill the drain. Just pretend it never existed. And then you get yourself a diamond concrete hole saw. I think they exist. And you find the dead center here, and then find the center here. And then you drill a hole through the concrete. And you could mount, they actually have different utility sink type faucets that would work if you get the right diameter hole and you get the right drain kit. you could get these things. You could get this sink to work again if you could find. I mean, I know it can be done, but it's not the end of the world. The original drain is a Y-shaped piece of cast iron that is cast into the sink. There is no replacing it. But again, filling it with concrete to just block it off, maybe block off that crossover as well, and drill yourself a hole on either side. It just might solve your problem. And just fit a conventional drain in place. Well, for example, a drain for a lavatory type sink, like for a bathroom sink, a vessel sink would work. Because those are designed to go through some thick material. And you just drop that in there and you put a bathroom sink in there. Now, again, there is going to be some chicken wire that you're cutting through, but the hole saw, if you get the right one, the diamond tipped, diamond studded, whatever, it's not going to know that wire is there. And again, this is some some tough shit. So it's not going to be an easy job, but you can do it. Fairly certain. Just a thought, if you've got one of these and you can't get that drain to work, or not leak properly, if you can't get the drain to drain without leaking, that might be your only savior right there. So a quick little update. This is a couple days later after my last film. So with the plan now, I've already ordered the faucet and the drain kit, and the rest of the stuff I can get at any hardware store. But the faucet, you can't just go out and buy those. They don't sell them locally. So I had to order it from, it's a Central Brass faucet. That's right. Central Brass makes them, and a couple of different places online sell them. I ended up getting one from that Wayfair company, and first time I've ever bought from them. But anyway, so that's going to be here eventually. It's the holidays. Shipping is really bad right now, so I'm not in any rush. The drain kit I got from a company called Chicago Faucets. So yeah, Central Brass makes the faucet, and Chicago Faucets sells the drain. And it has some pretty good reviews, so it looks like a decent part. So the next time we start up on this filming thing again, I'll probably have this wall painted, most of it anyway. And I'll probably have the plumbing part of this done. I'm probably going to just do the plumbing first. And the faucet that I ordered is actually one that mounts to the wall. It actually has a standoff, which I hope doesn't create a situation there, because it's going to be right against the wall. So we'll see what it looks like. But it's going to be a much, much, much needed improvement. As for the laundry hose stuff, I'm going to replumb all of this. All of this is getting redone with new PVC. Yeah, it'll be a much needed improvement. Let me just emphasize that. It has to happen. As for the electrical, I'm going to. This is the first thing I did here, actually. I had a laundry machine coming. I had a washing machine coming when I bought the place, and no place to plug it in. I had this ungrounded piece of crap here, but I wasn't about to use that. So I actually ran a dedicated circuit for the washing machine. And what I'm going to do with that is that's going to get teed off into two different outlets. I'm going to have one outlet, by the machine, and then another outlet for utility purposes. Probably put it over there somewhere. You really do need another outlet down here. It's a 20 amp circuit. It can handle it. So, and then I'm going to tie off of the computer room outlets. I'm going to put an outlet on that wall, somewhere on that wall, and I'm going to drywall this. My coworker was going to give me some drywall that he had bought for his house that he just sold, and that would be enough drywall, I think, to cover this. So I'm waiting for him to tell me when I can come get it, and that'll be all done. All in all, we're moving forward.